Hey everyone, we're here today with Andrew Hargis. Andrew actually is Dr. Andrew Hargis. Lovely to have you with us today, Andrew.
Thank you so much.
So, Andrew has a curiosity and a professional interest in this idea of humanizing workplaces. And so we thought that we'd have a chat today and learn a little bit about the kind of questions that Andrew's grappling with and learn a little bit from you, Andrew. So you are the principal of Thomas Beechen Elementary School in Missouri. You hold a doctorate in educational leadership. And there's probably a whole heap of other things that's super interesting about you, but we might uncover some of those today. Andrew, we might just kick it off with why are you interested in this idea of humanizing workplaces?
I think it's the most leverageable, that's not even a word, but just the highest impact thing that you can do, right? So, especially in a field like education, it's so hard to be the person that does it all, right? Like there's no way that I can impact every life of every kid that's in my building. We have about 450 kids that walk in every day. We probably have about 50 to 100 parents that'll walk through our doors every day, and I see a fraction of them on a
Mm-hmm.
daily basis. And so when I think about what my field is all about and where my passion is, it's all about making an impact on the world, right? Changing the world, and this is my small pocket to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And so those people, those young kids, those 5-year-olds, those 10-year-olds, eventually they're going to be, old like me, right? And they're going to be able to do these things and be amazing people to just go out and start to, ripple, like the ripple effect throughout the world, and continue to, make a difference in their own way too. So, um, humanizing my school, like our school, truly just allows every single adult there to do their best. Like I'm going to eliminate the barriers. I'm going to empower them. I'm going to treat them like people and professionals, no matter what job title they have, because the work that they're doing is vital. If I don't have one person, we're down. We're handicapped.
Mm-hmm.
And so we truly, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But also I hold very firmly to, I'm a Christian, and so like I try to live that life as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and gosh, like the most important thing that I'm supposed to be doing is loving people. And so it
Mm-hmm.
just it matches, right? I'm loving people, and it makes a ton of sense.
Mm.
Um, and so it's just perfect. It's just a great mix.
Yeah, I hear that, Andrew. And so I've heard you talk about how important it is to be able to empower those that work in the school and eliminate barriers and really enable them because they are serving the kids that come into the school, the parents as a community. And so you see this idea of humanizing the workplace as one that, like, I'm putting words into your mouth now, but one that somehow enables folk to do a good job in order to serve some stakeholders, who happen to be kids and parents. And and so what? And so what about that? What difference does that make in the world, Andrew?
All about people, right? So if like again, so my beliefs are that there is this eternal, difference that's to be made, but also, even if you don't believe as I do, right? It's a legacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's what are you gonna leave your mark like? I was just talking to somebody the other day, and it was funny because we were talking, and I said, people won't remember the activities you're going to do. We were talking about parenting, and I think it's the same as in a workplace. They're not going to remember like the things that you do. They're going to remember the rationale behind it, the heart behind it. And he, the gentleman I was talking to, chuckled, and he said, what's funny about that is I disagree, because I remember every negative encounter that I had with an educator. I remember every slight or thing that I felt that I needed to take personal in that time. And so the mark that people left in his life was pain and scarring. And that leaves him more susceptible to not wanting to pass off joy and happiness, and being
Mhm.
able to help those people that are around him. Um, because you need to be a little light
Mhm.
to be helpful to people, right?
Mhm.
And so when I think about 450 kids, I have two kids myself. I have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Mhm.
I want the best people around my kids,
Yeah.
because it takes a village, and that's not just a cliche. Like
Uh-huh.
there somebody else is raising my child
So, Andrew,
most
let
days.
me just jump in here and say, let's just imagine for a minute that you went to school to study something completely different than educational leadership, but let me say engineering. Um, what's the relevance of this idea? Like, I can so see it in terms of the impact of a humanized work environment when you've got kids around you. Would you still want to lead in this way if you were leading in a completely different sector, like in being an engineer, for instance?
Yeah, I think so. Because so even as an engineer, so there's again, it's still just being a good human towards people, right? Like I want people to feel better when they leave my presence instead of feeling baggage and all of
Right.
those things. Obviously,
Okay.
and nobody wants to be talked about behind their back. And I mean, there's all of those reasons, right? You want to um build people up, right? And
Right.
like they should be able to want to be around you. You shouldn't have to go seek people out. And nobody likes that feeling when you walk into a room and everybody stops talking, right? So
Yeah.
there's a selfish reason
Yeah.
to humanize a workplace as a leader, right? But then there's also just the like I want people to leave their work and feel happy and want to come back, because then you get into the logistical side. They're going to be at work more often. So sick days and personal days are a thing. I mean, those are going to happen no matter what. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a huge difference in people that need to take them, and I have
Mm-hmm.
to take them because if I don't, I'm going to quit today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I hate it that much.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, the research would tell you from any sector, turnover is terrible for your business. I may have an engineering team of 10 people,
Mm-hmm.
and if I'm rotating one out every 6 months, the amount of money and energy and training that it takes to get that person up to the level of the person that they replaced
Mm-hmm.
isn't worth it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then my product starts to decline.
Yeah, sure.
My own level of work has to
Yeah.
increase because I have to pick up the slack. And now I can't innovate and I can't think ahead. Now I'm just managing, I'm not
Yeah.
leading forward.
Yeah, 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 Andrew. So, like, I'm hearing there's this driver in you, regardless of where you are, like being a good human. You said selfish, but I'm not sure that I hear it that way. Is just like leaving somebody better off because of the conversation that you've just had with them or being in your presence. Like that's just in you, who you are, who you want to be in the world. And it happens to be that you're a leader in an organization. So you get some say about being that way as a leader. And then I'm also hearing you say that regardless of where you are leading in the world, that you're clear about the business case as well. There's a whole heap of advantages to more humanizing the workplace because of things like people wanting to take sick leave or turnover, etc. So I hear that. And then I'm curious as to whether you've given any thought, Andrew. So we're talking about the benefits for you and for the individuals, like in terms of how they leave your presence. Then we're talking about the business and the organization, and it's better off because it's got lower turnover, whatever. Um, is there any other way that you think about why this is a good thing?
So I think that, and I've read this multiple times. I wish I could quote somebody, but being a good leader is multiplying leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, going back to that ripple effect of um, if I can empower those people around me and they like what they do because of something that I'm allowing them to be able to do. And this is the worst, best feeling ever when somebody says, "Hey, I gotta go because I'm given a leadership position over in this other place, and I get to go lead my own people." And then they come back and they say, "Hey, can you help me with this? Hey, can you help me with that?" Because they want to do things like you, right? You're
Mm.
like that pseudo mentor. Because it's terrible because you got to replace somebody, and that person was probably great. Um, but that now they are going to go make a difference somewhere else too, right? It's like a
Yeah.
coaching tree. I'm a big football fan, and so you know a good coach by their coaching tree.
Mm.
Um, and so being able to look around, it goes back to the legacy piece. To be able to end a career or end a tenure in a company and be able to look back and say, just because I'm gone, my effect isn't gone.
Mhm.
I have helped this place. It's not me, but I'm just helping turn the cog. Um, to where now like other people are allowed to make a difference. They're able to make that difference. It's now spinning a little bit in that direction. That inertia is super hard to break
Sure.
once you get everybody heading in the same direction,
Yeah.
because one person can't do that. It
Mm.
takes a whole host of people,
Got it.
but it takes somebody to say and point everybody towards, gosh, can we just be kind to each other, like in the good
Mm.
and the bad?
Mm.
And that truly hit home in COVID and all of those things of just, gosh, like life is hard. Let me come and wrap my arms around you. How can I help you?
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
So Andrew, that I want to go there next. So, what might people expect to see differently uh, at your school compared to other schools, or in an organization where you might see somebody leading from this place of humanizing, as opposed to somewhere else? Because I imagine that for a number of people listening, they're a bit like, yeah, this sounds like a really great idea, being kind to each other. There's a business case. This all seems like really sensible, but what do I do?
um, know people.
Okay.
True, like that's number one, right? Slow down. I can never stop moving. I eat standing up. I'm constantly moving. I lose my notebook everywhere. uh there's always 1,000 things to do. But find those people that you haven't connected with in the last couple of days and ask them about their kids, and ask them about how their husband or wife is, and ask them about how their trip went, and know them. Because the first thing when you get into that leadership position is everybody's scared. They don't know who you're going to be as a leader. And most of the time, the way that our brains work is we go negative first. So, oh man, this person's going to come in and do this and do this and do this. So start by knowing the people that you're going to work alongside and having that mindset and communicating and saying it often, even if it sounds corny. I'm here to work alongside you. I'm here to serve you, and then do it. Follow through, right? The first time that you're saying, hey, I'm gonna help you. I think your family is more important than some of the other things I'm gonna ask you to do. And then they ask you if they can be gone on a day, and you're like, ooh, like maybe pick a different day. Your actions just spoke 1,000 words, right?
Yeah.
um, and so it starts there. It's that firm foundation of, if you're gonna love people, you got to know them first.
Mm-hmm. I,
And then
I,
and that's the small actions.
Yeah, I love that, Andrew, because I think you're pointing to this thing that we found when we were doing the research for the book for human work. It's like, actually, we ended up in a place of no one was able to tell us as we were researching, well, you just do these 10 things and then you've got a humanized workplace. It's not about that. It's about a mindset. And you just talked about a mindset of knowing people. And then from holding a mindset, then the actual actions that you take seem to come more easily. So you're wearing a way of thinking that helps you know what the next step is. And I think for a lot of leaders who want to move in this direction and become leaders of more humanized organizations, it can be frustrating because there isn't kind of a step 1 to 10 path about how to do that. But I think you're pointing people here in this direction of, it's much more of a mindset than it is like there's a specific thing to do.
Absolutely, it's the firm anchor. As everything else goes, you hierarchy it,
Yeah.
because eventually you're going to have to make the decision.
Yeah.
It's either people or the process that I've created. It's the people, or when I said that everybody always has to do this, and then there's that exception. What do I do? And realizing that, gosh, almost every single time, it's going to be the person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that process was there for a good reason, right? but sometimes like life is messy. And so how do you deal when, you believe that there's a certain way to do it, but serving somebody or making their life um, a little bit better, or helping them take care of their task or their people that are under them, what do you do then? And it has to almost always be that person. And if it's not, and sometimes it can be, hey, I can't do that, but I could do this,
Sure.
right? You try to stay away from the no. It's, I
Mhm.
can't do that, but you know what? Like, I can take this other thing.
So, Andrew, this
And
brings me to, like, I think perhaps our last question for this brief little video, and maybe we'll come back and do another one because it feels like we could talk for a long time. Is you're nudging in this direction here of, I wonder what, if anything, is the cost to you of doing this? Like, are you risking anything by taking this sort of approach? You work in education. It's a very rules-based industry from what I can tell from the outside. Going to get into any trouble doing any of this, Andrew?
it's a lot of trust. You have to have faith that it's the right thing. That making people better, and loving people is the answer, because it's an investment. There's no silver bullet, right? It takes a ton of time to build a culture, and it takes a ton of time and effort to build a foundation. Um, and then you hope that it takes off exponentially, because that's what they do. But in the meantime, education is a now, what is happening now with those kids, which it should be to some degree. And so when you're focused on culture and you're focused on kids feeling safe, that doesn't necessarily always come out on a math test.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but those kids love being at school.
Mm-hmm.
Those kids feel safe in that classroom because the
Mm-hmm.
teacher feels safe in the building.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're trusting the fact that it'll pay off. But in the meantime, you're not going to be a blue ribbon school when you
Yeah.
start this work.
Blue ribbon meaning the schools that do the best in the testing, huh?
That's right. Yeah. But your culture scores will start to go up, and you have to trust that academics are this lagging indicator, that they're going to come because, gosh, everybody wants to be there. Your attendance is better. People are smiling. People are willing to work harder
Mm-hmm.
because they love what they're doing. It's a
Mm-hmm.
passion again. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you've empowered them, and then they're better for their kids, and the kids are like, man, I love being here, and I'm going to work harder for the teacher, and I'm going to work harder, and the parents want to send their kids. And um, but it takes time. And if you bow out early, and you've started the work, and then you're like, oop, those scores look bad, now I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to lay down the hammer on the teacher that has bad scores, or I'm going to do whatever. Well, you've just lost all that work, and then everybody's going to shut down again. And so
Yeah.
you have to trust.
Yeah, I see. So, this, there's something specific about the educational sector that you're in, which has these external constraints, if you like. And so you're having to work with the polarity of both doing well with results academically and doing well with finding a cultural safety. It's a polarity, something like that. But I can hear in you're having to work with both and a lot rather than either or. And I wonder if we think about that for other industries that have a different set of constraints, but every industry has a set of constraints, eh? How if we've got a leader listening to this and they're not from education, they're thinking, yeah, well, that's not really that relevant to me. There is going to be a constraint, and it is going to be, from what I'm hearing and what I've heard from other leaders, it is going to get tough sometimes. And sometimes you are going to feel a bit like you're up against the wall because you've got to choose between this or that. But actually what you're saying is hold on to this and find a way to do the and that. And it might be that the and that is a lag indicator, but have faith. Yeah.
Have faith.
Have to have faith. Andrew, thank you so much for your time today. So grateful to be able to share this little snippet of the way in which you make sense of humanising workplaces. Thank you for everything you do, for the ripple effects of this in your community.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.